Hello, I'm the Godless Engineer, and tonight I am responding to a video by this woman by the name of Megan Fox. Now, I'm only going to respond to one or two particular aspects of her video, her critique of the Fields Museum, but that shouldn't distract from the plethora of idiotic things that she said in her video. And I will give you a small taste of that right now. These are things that I am not going to address because I've either addressed them before or they're so ludicrous that it's just a waste of time to even act like they're valid arguments that need to be addressed. So have fun for a second while I down this.
4 billion years ago appeared like magic. Poof, poof, poof. Just appeared out of nowhere. And all available evidence does not support the theory of evolution, or there wouldn't be other theories. Liars. I don't know how to say this word, so I'm just going to pretend that I know how to say it. But none of this makes any sense. It doesn't make sense to a 5th grader. It doesn't make sense to a 3rd grader. It doesn't make sense to a 30-year-old. None of this makes any sense. If the single cell back then were, a Buick, the single cell now is a galaxy. See? Fossils. That's science. You don't have a clue. I don't want to hear about your theories and your stupid theories about how these creatures came from one cell when you can't prove it to me. You can't prove it. No one can prove it. Oh, but well, we think that that's what happened. No, just show me the animals. Tell me about them. Don't tell me that you know exactly how they came to be, because you don't. First, I love how they write these things like, this is what happened for sure. For sure, this is what happened first. Listen how dumb this sounds. How do you know this? It's a fairy tale. It's just a fairy tale. Just making it up. Maybe it all happened at once. Maybe. And that we can look at and see and form our own opinions on. Who writes this stuff? How do they know this? They don't. Today, tetrapods include reptiles, birds, and mammals like you. Their fins fell off, and then they grew feet. That's what they want you to believe, that their fins eventually fell off, and then they grew some feet and started walking on the land. But Coke can does not have a designer. Well, it's got letters on it, though. How did they get there? Well, the letters fell from the sky, but they were in the wrong order. Eventually, over time, though, they moved, and now they say something. No one would believe you. It's a dragon. It's a dragon. It's a dragon. Couldn't we? See, the reason they don't want you to say dragon is because they know there's evidence that people have seen something that looks like this. Are there prehistoric drawings on caves of dinosaurs? They can't explain that. Like, except dragons aren't a fantasy. Like, except dragons aren't a fantasy. Like, except dragons aren't a fantasy. No one considers that Neanderthals could just be people with big foreheads.
She doesn't really have a firm grasp of what a museum is. You'll notice the running thing that she has going on is how do you know, and do you have videotape evidence of any of this happening? As if to say that a video recording of millions of years of evolution would be sufficient enough to prove that evolution existed. And I'm going to get into that here in just a minute. But I would like to emphasize the point of a museum, because that's where you're at, Megan. You're at a museum. See, museums are designed to simplify down hundreds of years of scientific experiments and evidence and research. Museums are designed to simplify all of that down into coherent paragraphs, short coherent paragraphs, and pretty pictures that kids can understand. That is the point of a museum. What a museum is not. The museum is not a classroom. The museum is not a library full of white papers to prove intricately these concepts to you. You keep going up to each of these displays and each of these things, and you keep asking, well, how do you know that? That's just all fairy tale. That's all made up. Okay, it's not the point of the museum to provide the white papers or the actual research at each of these exhibits in order to prove to you, which, by the way, my guess is that you wouldn't even be able to understand the scientific evidence even if it's presented to you. That's not how museums are designed to work. I would like to emphasize that these questions that you're asking at the museum are really good questions. Although I'd say that you're about 20 years too late on asking these things if you're a homeschooling mother and you're taking your babies to this museum and you're planning on homeschooling your kids. Now, as I just now stated, the museum displays the end product of scientific research. So the fact that you're going around and you're critiquing this museum on its final product and expecting the final product to have every single bit of documentation to go along with it just kind of shows your idiocy as you're going through this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take one aspect of what you're talking about here, and I'm going to kind of break it down, and I am going to give the information, not necessarily to you, but to other people that would come to this video with these same questions and want to know information about radiometric dating.
If you're talking about 470 million years ago, these are just guesses off the top of their heads.
Because that's what I'm going to be discussing. That's how we know how old certain things are. Another thing that I'd like to go into detail about is, but before we get into radiometric dating, is the fact that you want video evidence for shit that happened millions of years ago. And I can't begin to express how fucking idiotic that is to ask for. Because, of course, you know, the cameras didn't exist back then, right? But not only that, but why would you want something that's so easily faked? Have you not seen some of the goddamn movies that are out there right now? Shit, I can go and get something off of the Discovery Channel and just make an overlay of a video camera thing, and I could put that on there and I could give that to you. And you wouldn't be able to bitch about it because, oh, fuck, look, it's video evidence of the past. Wouldn't you want some piece of evidence that is a lot more accurate than just pretty moving pictures? Or is that really all that you can fucking process? We know shit is millions of years old, despite the Creation magazine that you read that said that there are cave paintings of dinosaurs. Even though that has been proven to be faked and forgeries and shit, that's not going to matter to you because, you know what, fuck facts, right? Ken Ham and his friends, they like to say that, you know, radiometric dating isn't accurate. Radiometric dating is actually one of the most accurate timestamps that you can perform or you can get on this planet or in existence, really. And I'm going to go into details about why it is such an accurate timestamp. In order to understand what radiometric dating is, though, you have to understand radioactive decay. Radioactive decay happens within an isotope of an element, and that would be an atom that has a different amount of neutrons than its base element. So it's a little different than its base element, but it's still the element itself. And what happens is that these unstable atoms, they end up changing into daughter elements or daughter isotopes. And they do this by either losing proton-neutron pairs or they do this by losing electrons. And so this change in the atom, changing from one type of, from one atom or isotope to another, is called radioactive decay. And the amount of time that it takes this decay to happen is called its half-life. This half-life is normally measured in years. And we can associate geological time with this equation. Now I know this fucker looks pretty goddamn complicated, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. I know most people, when they start adding just the regular English alphabet to mathematical equations, they start shitting their pants. and they just don't want to do it. They throw their hands up and they walk away saying, oh, I can't understand it, so therefore it's wrong. Which is pretty much fucking exactly what you did in this video. Now, since you're a homeschool teacher, I can only assume that this shit just makes complete sense to you. But since I haven't found this fucker in the Bible yet, I'm going to go ahead and explain this in terms that you can fucking understand. Basically, what this motherfucker's saying is that what you can do is you can take an amount of one parent isotope or element, right? You can measure it. And then you can measure the amount over a period of time that it's changed into its daughter element, right? And so now you have these two varying amounts of elements. They're tied together because of radioactive decay. And you can measure the total amount of the original element that was supposed to be there and the amount that has resulted due to radioactive decay. Now, using known half-lives for certain radiometric dating methods, we can determine how long it took that organic material to decay into its daughter material. This is just using simple fucking math. I mean, I know that it's not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, but you know, as some people have denoted, if the Bible were to say that 2 + 2 = 5, you would try to work that shit into your worldview. And you know, that was a creationist, so I can only assume that you hold to that too. And the fact that we use basic math in order to figure out how old shit is, and you're just blatantly denying that, blows my goddamn mind. Now, there are different versions of radiometric dating using different elements that allow us to date certain things that are really, really old or not so old. So, these dating methods would include uranium lead dating, rubidium strontium dating, and uranium thorium dating, along with radiocarbon dating. Now, I would like to point out that radiocarbon dating has a half-life of 5,700 years, 5,730 years. So, if you're looking to date anything like, I would say, in the fucking Bible, radiocarbon dating is going to be good because you motherfuckers say that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and we should be able to use radiocarbon dating for most of what's there. So, I guess actually, now that I think of it, it kind of makes sense that you would try to use radiocarbon dating for like dinosaur bones, even though that's not the proper fucking way that you're supposed to use the method. But in order to date stuff like dinosaur bones or whatnot, you need a radiometric dating method that can actually measure deeper periods of time. And that would be the use of these other radiometric dating methods. So to kind of recap here, you asked, how do you know? And, you know, do you have videotape evidence of it? Those are the two questions that I kind of wanted to address. Now, the first one was museums are not fucking designed to give you white papers or explain the intricate details of every single fact or theory that they put up there. It's meant to consolidate scientific evidence and information into nice, presentable forms that everybody can understand. That is the reason for museums. And it really shows how fucking idiotic you are going through the Fields Museum and trying to critique them on not having white papers out there for you to stand there for about 4 hours and trying to figure out. Now, second, where's the video? We don't need fucking video. We have radiometric dating in order to know when shit occurred. We also have fucking logic, which I know you people like to say you need God in order to understand or even have, but fuck that. We have logic to determine, like, you know, the logical progression of things, and we use radiometric dating in order to place certain things in certain time periods. And that radiometric dating is actually a really fucking good way to date things. I hope you like this explanation of it. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Like this video and subscribe. Oh, don't forget to share this motherfucker out too. It would really help me a lot if you did. I never want you guys to forget to